This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:17 right here on Jocks. Listen online, jocksfn.com. App is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Listen on the go. Watch on YouTube. The link will be there, and get all your podcasts you may have missed as well. Former Georgia head football coach Jim Donnan joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Talk a little SEC football. And, Coach, we were just talking about offenses, defenses, being ahead, being behind this time in practice in fall camp. What was your strategy as a head coach of kind of what you wanted to do with those two groups, who you wanted to be ahead, behind, how much you were going to show from each, just collectively on each side of the football heading into your first game?
Yeah, I think every team's got its own MO, but a lot of it had to do if you had an established quarterback like Greg McElroy, so you were ready to go. So you could go see all those defenses that Nick would put out there. I kid Kirby about the scout team for the Georgia is our offense because he's trying to get the defense ready. But every team has its own issues, and the younger the quarterback, the more I try to constrict the defenses and build some confidence. But it's hard enough to develop an offense. Back in the old days, we used to use dummies and shields because we didn't have walkthroughs, but just really worked against air to get the timing. But now this year-round deal where they practice all the time, teams are really pretty much ready to go when fall camp starts because they've practiced so much in the spring and they've had so much work in the summer.
Looking at Georgia in particular, Coach, it feels like I like Gunnar Stockton a lot. I think he throws it better than people realize, but I do think the grittiness, him being willing to be involved in the run game is going to kind of change their identity. I think Kirby kind of wants that. I think he's welcoming that. Is it fair to assume that this group's going to be a little more rugged, maybe a little more blue-collar than they've been the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's a real good assessment, Greg. I think the big thing is they got to stay on the field more. They just didn't make many conversions last year, particularly dropping some passes. And, if you catch a pass on 3rd and 4 and give you 3 more downs, you're going to be pretty good. But for the first time in like 4 or 5 years, our defense really didn't get the ball for the offense much. And really the limitations on the amount of reps we had on the field hurt us. But I think with Gunnar, you got to maybe sustain some drives, make some plays with his legs. And even though he doesn't have a lot of game experience, he has, kind of like Stetson Bennett did, worked against the first 2 units for 2.5, 3 years in practice. So that's good work for him. So really, I think they got to be a little tougher at the line of scrimmage for sure.
Jim Donnan, former Georgia head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We obviously want to talk to you about Georgia, what they're going to be, but I want to hear your opinions on Auburn as well, Hugh Freeze. Before we actually get your thoughts on this team, you have an interesting connection to this team. Stanford quarterback Ashton Daniels has transferred in. We've talked about him some and maybe the benefits that he can provide actually filling in, or if he had to become the starter, or if Jackson Arnold can't get it done. But you have a pretty cool connection to this young man if he were to get some playing time for Auburn this year. Tell our listeners what it is.
Well, when I got the job here, his dad, Juan Daniels, who was a really terrific high school player in the state of Georgia over at Norcross, was actually state champion in the triple jump. He was a punter, punt returner in high school, but he was really a wide receiver here. I think over his career caught about 50 or 60 passes and 12 or 13 touchdowns. But he was one of the guys that, we've talked about it before, both you and Greg, about when you take a job, you're taking over for some kids that you didn't recruit. And sometimes the kids are a little bit more receptive than the others. And Juan was one that really jumped on my bandwagon very early and was very vocal in his support. But he was also a very hard worker and very talented athlete. And so as every coach, you keep up with your guys over the years and watch their kids grow up. But with Juan living very close to here and his son going to school at Buford, I was able to watch him come to camp here and work out, and also, watch him on TV and everything. And then Stanford Steve, who, I have an association with through ESPN when I worked up there, was always telling me about what Ashton was doing out at Stanford, and you got to see him play a few times on TV. But, I think for sure he gives them a guy that's had some really good success in college and in a good league, and it's always good to have a guy that can jump out there. I know through my association with OU that they're high on Jackson, and he's going to be ready to go. But I think it's awesome that Juan's going to get to see his son play so close to home, and hopefully they could have a package for him.
Hopefully they will. That'd be awesome. It'd be tremendous to hear. Well, I mean, I've watched some of his stuff, and it looks like he's a good athlete, and it looks like he was in a pretty good spot, but more kind of on Stanford than anything else. What is going on with that athletic department? Like, I mean, guys are fleeing. They don't have any money. I mean, it just help me understand, like, what was the circumstances around his experience there, and how are things going with the Cardinal?
Well, it's like that kid one time I said that went out to the mall, said it's chaos with a capital K. I mean, seriously, the kid couldn't spell very good. But the idea is that you think with all the stuff they got and the money they got in their overall budget out there for the other things at Stanford, they could work out something. But ever since Shaw left, it's kind of been a revolving door of players, coaches, everything. And then the previous coach just got let go for something. I'm not sure what. But and then, the fact that Luck's in there as a general manager, I mean, he loves Stanford, and he I don't know how much knowledge he has about creating a team. And then all of a sudden he brings in the guy from the Panthers. But it's definitely a situation where, well, who knows anymore? I mean, like we played Marshall the first game. They got 55 or 60 new players. I mean, the way these kids transfer and go in, I mean, hopefully Stanford can get something going. But I think Juan and Ashton, I don't want to speak for them, but I think that just the fact that they want to go somewhere where it's a little more solid for a chance to, maybe not be so much upheaval. But it's definitely an issue for sure.
We brought that up yesterday, Coach, and you can maybe take us further from a head coaching perspective on this. I know you didn't have to deal with all the change and the roster turnover, but maybe at times some more than others. We kind of pointed to some of these bigger games in college football, weeks 1, 2, 3, and the teams that just play ordinarily good football are probably going to win. Don't turn the ball over, convert some third down situations, move the chains, play good field position, don't shake a punt, don't have a snap go over the quarterback or punter's head. Holder doesn't drop a ball on a field goal attempt. I mean, it sounds weird, but because there's so much new, don't you look at this and say the teams with the fewest penalties, the teams that don't turn it over, the teams that maybe can control certain aspects of the game and have that go their way are probably going to get some of these big games early on because everybody's going to be feeling their teams out for the most part.
Well, that's an accurate assessment. You sound like you're giving a pep talk before the first game there, Cole. I mean, you got to avoid losing as much as you try to win because you really don't know what your team's MO is going to be because you practice with them, but some kids react differently. But you go back to Florida a couple of years ago out at Utah. I mean, they had so many penalties and so many turnovers. They had no chance to have even an opportunity to even be competitive because they just self-destructed, and they did that several games. I'm not just bagging on them, but the first game with so many tremendous big opportunities for all of us to watch, with Ohio State, Texas, and all these games, those teams are going to play pretty good regardless. But if you've got a team that you're close to being competitive with, but you start doing some of those things, you give your kids no chance to win, and they lose a little confidence, and the other team jumps on it. But football is a game that all of us know that sometimes the best team doesn't win. You lose the game on your own side of the ball. So the really good coaches are the ones that really instill discipline and understand those kind of situations and work hard, which I used to talk to our guys about. We know what won for us last year, and we know what got us beat. We got to really work hard on doing both well, doing better about winning the big situations and avoid the bad plays.
Coach, I wanted to get one more with you because you coach quarterbacks, coached on the offensive side of the ball for a long time. We brought up Auburn a little bit earlier. Jackson Arnold last year got to a point where it appeared as though it was difficult for him to let go of the football. And there were a lot of circumstances around that, a lot of reasons for that. How does a coach go about resetting that in the offseason and finding a way to get that confidence back, get that trust back, and just get that kid to the point where when he sees it, he's okay just letting it go, knowing that everything is going to be able to work itself out?
Well, I'm a big Jackson Arnold fan. My background is at Oklahoma. Most of my kids live out there. They follow OU religiously, and I know a lot about the program just because I talk to my son and my daughter and my son-in-law all the time about it. But in his defense, he had zero help. I mean, his offensive line was probably the worst OU's had because of injuries and guys transferring and all. Every snap he's running for his life. And if you go up to the line, Greg talks about it all the time, and you're not really secure in your protection and you're worried about who's going to be able to help you out, you're going to be a little shaky. And then the fact they had 0-2 receivers, I mean, their receivers got hurt and transferred. They had guys that were 3 and 4 deep walk-ons playing. And that's just hard to believe that a team like OU would be so offensively disoriented. But it's no excuse. But the reality is, even if Auburn was like it was last year or the year before, that's a lot better offensive cast than he played with. So, and I know he knows the system that Coach Freeze utilizes. He's got some players to help him, and I think it's just going to be a different atmosphere as far as holding the ball because he didn't have any idea where he could throw it and how it's protection. So I hope the fans realize that and understand that this kid was really, really highly recruited. We tried to jump on him here because he had a background over in Atlanta before he transferred out to Texas in high school. So I think he could be a real sleeper product as far as around the country, as far as quarterbacks that are going to make a big imprint. And hopefully he does, except against us.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time this morning. Some cool stuff from you. Always great to catch up with you, hear your voice, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Okay, appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach. Jim Donnan, former Georgia head coach. And Jackson Arnold played some high school football in the state of Georgia before he moved as well. So a lot of different ties there back and forth from Georgia and Oklahoma. Before we go to break, Greg, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's been my go-to for a really long time. I've always appreciated and enjoyed the experience. The second I walk in the door, they're undergoing a really nice renovation, too, in the Mountain Brook Village store. So you go and check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to be an elevated modern design that reflects Bromberg's long-standing commitment to quality service and to the community. The transformation will enhance the experience as if it can be enhanced anymore because it's already incredible. I think you guys will understand the second you walk in the door exactly why they've been the only place that I would shop for jewelry since we moved back about 8.5 years ago. So highly recommend going and checking out Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit.
All right, we'll continue talking Georgia and hear from Ryan Grubb as we get back to Alabama here in just a moment on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, and Three-Man Front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.